Today, we're diving into practical, easy to implement, high protein hacks for busy professional women who don't have a lot of time to meal prep or make elaborate meals every single week. These are the same strategies that my clients use to consistently hit their protein goals, tone up, lean out, and achieve and maintain their dream body. Welcome to the Fit and Fulfilled Show. If you're a busy professional woman who wants to finally prioritize your health and happiness, this is the place to be. I'm your host, Soraya Russell, certified macronutrition coach, mindset coach, and lifestyle transformation coach. And each week, I share practical strategies to help you build sustainable habits, boost your energy, become obsessed with what you see when you look in the mirror, and feel confident and strong in your body, all without feeling stressed, burned out, or guilty. Let's dive in. So, hitting your protein goals can be the difference between losing weight and loving the way your body looks, the end result, and losing weight and still feeling like you're fluffy, jiggly, and have loose skin. Because at the end of the day, you don't just want to lose weight, you want to feel good in your clothes, you want to like the way you look in the mirror, and that comes down to changing your body composition, not just losing weight, which protein helps you achieve. So, why is protein so important? First thing is protein has the highest TEF, which stands for thermic effect of food, of all the other macronutrients. What this means is when a food has a high TEF, it means that when you digest it, you burn more calories than you do when you digest other nutrients. So something a lot of people don't realize is that yes, you burn calories when you digest food. Reason being, anything that requires work for your body to do requires burning calories. So typically we think of things like running, lifting weights. Those things are work, so they burn calories. But things we don't think about is when you digest food, your body has to chew the food, put it down into your system. Those aren't things that feel like work because they come naturally to you, but it does take work for your body to do, and thus that requires the burning of calories. Second thing is protein is more satiating than other macronutrients, which means it's going to keep you full longer than carbs or fat. So say that you had a dish that was just rice, no protein at all, you'll be hungry in maybe about an hour. But if you have rice and some chicken, tofu, turkey, you'll stay full much longer, which leads to less cravings, less hunger, and makes it much easier to stick to your weight loss goals. Protein also preserves muscle mass during weight loss, which means that if you are losing weight, right, when you lose weight, you can lose three things: water, muscle, and fat. If you want to have that lean toned look, you primarily want to be losing fat, not muscle. Because when you lose muscle, that's what leads to the skinny fat look, where you are not very heavy on the scale, but you still feel like your stomach is a bit pudgy and bloated. And same thing with your arms and legs. So when you're losing weight, if you're consuming enough protein, that's going to help you preserve your muscle mass, which means you'll primarily be losing fat, which will lead to the end outcome that you're looking for. Protein also helps stabilize blood sugar levels, which is helpful for a lot of reasons. But the main one is stabilized blood sugar levels helps you avoid that afternoon crash that you have where you want sweets and salty foods. So it tends to be when women are not consuming enough protein. Around 2 p.m., you are very lethargic, you have a lot of cravings for sweets and sugary foods, and that leads to you overeating, indulging, snacking. So by having enough protein in your daily diet, you avoid that midday crash and that craving for those salty and sweet foods. So how much protein do you actually need to achieve your body goals? There's a lot of conflicting information on the internet because some people say 1 gram of protein per body weight. But that's a whole lot. Say that you're 250 pounds, that's 250 grams of protein per day. That is a whole lot of protein, and it's not necessary, especially for women. So ideally, you want to be getting between zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.8 times your current body weight in protein. And I'm going to explain what area of the spectrum you should be on depending on your starting weight and your eating preferences. So if you are more than 225 pounds and you are a meat eater or pescatarian, you want to eat 0.6 times your current body weight in protein. If you weigh 225 pounds or less and you are a meat eater or pescatarian, you want to do zero point 0.8 times your current weight in protein. If you are plant-based, vegan, vegetarian, no matter your weight, you want to do zero point 0.4 times your current body weight in protein. So say that you are 200 pounds and you are a meat eater or pescatarian, 200 times zero point 0.8 would be 160 grams of protein. Say that you are 250 pounds and you are a meat eater or pescatarian. 0.6 times 250, because that's above 225 pounds, is 150 grams of protein on a day-to-day basis. And say you're 200 pounds and vegetarian, 200 times 0.4 is 80 grams of protein per day. The reason these numbers are different based on your starting weight and your food preferences is that if you are above 225 pounds and you use the same multiplier as women who are less, you're going to be eating a crazy amount of protein. So this 225 and up versus below helps to make sure that you're not eating a crazy amount of protein, even if you are above that 225-pound level. So for example, if we did the same calculation and you're 250 pounds and we did not adjust based on your weight, you'd probably be eating upwards of 200 grams of protein, which just is not necessary and really hard to get in. The reason numbers are different for plant-based folks is because when you are plant-based, there are less options available that are really high in protein and not also high in carbs and fat. So you have things like edamame, which is a good source of protein. You have other items as well, but many of those items, for example, lentils and beans, those are high in protein, but they're also going to be higher in carbs as well. So you'll be increasing protein and carbs at the same time. So it's a bit more difficult unless you're eating a bunch of meat substitutes like Beyond Meat. And if you're a plant-based person who doesn't want to do meat substitutes, that's very difficult. So this point 4 calculation just makes protein goals or hitting your protein goals more realistic without you feeling like it's impossible to do. And you want to take this number, and to make it easier, you want to distribute it throughout the day. So if you're someone who just eats 3 square meals, say your protein goal is 150, you want to have 50 grams for breakfast, 50 for lunch, and 50 for dinner. Or say that you're a snacker like me. So what you want to do in this case is distribute things a bit differently. So you want to get 80% of your protein from your meals and the remaining 20% from your snacks. So if your goal is 150 grams of protein per day, 80% times 150 is 120. So 120 grams of protein should be distributed between your 3 meals. That would be 40 grams of protein for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Then you have 30 grams left over, which can be distributed between 2 snacks. Or something I like to do is I like to have one more sweet snack during the day. So I'll have one snack that's 30 grams of protein, and the other snack will just be carbs, sugar, fat, whatever it is. So I'm getting all my protein needs in within those 3 meals and 1 snack. So now that we have an understanding of why protein is important and how to calculate your protein goals, let's dive into the protein hacks that my clients are using to hit their protein goals consistently without feeling like they're stuffing their face with a bunch of grilled chicken or things that they don't enjoy. The first hack that can really change the game with protein is adding unflavored or vanilla flavored protein powder to your coffee. If you're a coffee lover, you already drink it in the morning anyway. 1 scoop can easily add 20 to 25 grams of protein to your daily intake of protein without you really having to eat another snack or meal. This is a really big deal. So you can take any protein powder brand that you like, just pour it into your coffee, stir it really, really well so that it blends in, and drink it just like you would with your regular coffee. Another thing you can do is try high protein coffee brands. So there are brands like Javy, Javy, that make a high protein coffee mix where it's already in the coffee. So the coffee comes with protein in it, so it is already blended in. You don't have to do it. I honestly prefer things like that because, for example, protein drinks. I prefer pre-made protein drinks over protein powder because that way it's already mixed for me. I don't have to deal with that clumpy look and feel within my drink. It's already taken care of. Versus when I have to add protein to stuff, I have to stir it really, really well to make sure there's no clumps. So if that's something that bothers you, you don't want to have to stir everything and ensure there's no clumps in it, I recommend a pre-made high protein coffee like Javy. Next thing you want to do is just double up on protein with your meals. So for example, if you like to have eggs in the morning, if you just have 1 egg, add a second one. If you typically decide between Greek yogurt and eggs, have both. So for example, for my breakfast, I'll have avocado toast, I'll have 2 eggs, and I'll have Greek yogurt. So this way I'm getting my protein from the Greek yogurt and I'm getting it from the eggs. I don't just have one, I have both. And for this example, if you wanted to make it even higher protein, you could add a vanilla protein drink. So you could do, for example, Fairlife makes a high protein milk. And so you could have high protein milk, you could have 2 eggs, and you could have Greek yogurt. That is a very high protein breakfast without it feeling like you're eating a bunch of chicken or meat that you maybe don't want to consume in the morning. Front-loading protein also reduces cravings throughout the day. So if you're having a very carb-heavy breakfast and no protein at all, that's typically when you find that you're hungry within an hour or two. So when I see people eating something like maybe a banana and piece of bread for breakfast, they're hungry very shortly after. Or if they're having a smoothie with no protein in it, just fruits and maybe vegetables, that's when you tend to be hungry within an hour. If you're having a smoothie, add protein powder, add Greek yogurt. If you're having toast for breakfast, add eggs, add Greek yogurt. It'll help keep you full longer. And when it comes to weight loss and fat loss, the name of the game is staying full as long as possible because that means less cravings, less hunger, less overindulging, which means you're able to stay consistent with hitting your calorie goals. Another hack is if you like oatmeal or overnight oats, which overnight oats is basically cold oatmeal. I know it sounds weird, but I'm telling you, it's really tasty if you do it right. So what I'll do is when I make overnight oats, I take a jar, I put in oats, I put in some fruit, peanut butter, toppings, things like that. Add milk, put it in the refrigerator, and then eat it in the morning. So it's a great, really quick way to make food because you can grab and go with it. Something you can do to increase the protein in things like this is add Greek yogurt and add high protein milk. So Greek yogurt and high protein milk together will add an extra about 15 to 20 grams of protein per each overnight oat. And so say that your overnight oats were originally 15 grams of protein. Now they're 30, 35 grams of protein, 40 grams of protein simply by adding a couple small ingredients. It also makes your overnight oats more creamier. And for me, creamier the better. So if you have the oats and the fruits and things like that, it might taste a bit dry, but when you add Greek yogurt, it's a creamy texture and the milk also makes it a bit creamier as well. So it honestly makes it taste a bit more like dessert. And I love dessert. So it's a nice satisfying meal in the morning that helps you hit your protein goals. It's also very efficient to meal prep. On Sunday, you might take 6 jars, put the overnight oats, Greek yogurt, toppings in all the jars, put them in the refrigerator, and boom, you have breakfast for the entire week without you having to cook every single morning. Another hack is adding liquid egg whites to your oatmeal. And I know this might sound weird or maybe nasty, but you don't really taste it, but it can add 10 grams of protein to your oatmeal. So about half a cup of liquid egg whites is about 10 grams of protein, and you don't taste it at all, but it's adding protein to your meal. And basically it cooks into the oatmeal. So if you're making your oatmeal on the stovetop and you add liquid egg whites, it's liquid. So it basically kind of mixes in with the oatmeal. So it doesn't really end up being something you taste and you still enjoy your oatmeal like you typically would with cinnamon, fruit, or whatever, but with a lot more protein included. Hack number 5 is high protein waffles and pancakes. I love pancakes. So when I discovered this, it changed my life. So there's a brand called Kodak and several more now that make high protein pancakes. A typical pancake is maybe 4 grams of protein per serving, but a high protein brand like Kodak is 14 grams of protein per serving. That's an extra 10 grams of protein without adding chicken, sausage, eggs, just from the pancake or waffle alone. The next hack is swapping out your typical milk for Fairlife protein milk. So typical milk might be 8 grams of protein per serving, maybe. Fairlife milk is 13 grams of protein per serving. So a lot more protein, same taste of milk. Honestly, I think Fairlife milk tastes a bit better. And so you can use it whether you're making your oatmeal, whether you're making a drink like coffee in the morning, whatever it is. If you just like to drink milk by itself, you're drinking what you like with way more protein per serving. Now, here's some protein hacks for my busy professional women who are on the go a lot and maybe don't have time for cooking or maybe don't even have a place to refrigerate a lot of items. The first thing you can do is have tuna packs on hand. So I think the brand is called Starkist and they make packages of tuna and it's like 20 grams of protein for these little packages. So you can keep those in your desk drawer, in your house, and easily get in 20 grams of protein when you need to. You can also have things like jerky and meat sticks on hand if you like those types of things. The brand Chomps is my favorite because it has pretty good ingredients and they have beef jerky. They also have turkey jerky, which has a lot more protein to fat ratio. So I recommend that for getting in protein. And that's something you can keep in your car, in your glove compartment, in your desk drawer, in your house, wherever you see fit. Also having protein drinks on hand. Like I said, I like pre-made protein drinks. Some of my favorite brands are OWYN. They're plant-based. They have a lot of really good flavors. Orgain also, they have one protein drink that's 30 grams of protein per beverage, which is really good and it still tastes good. Sometimes when these brands make high protein drinks, the more protein it has in it, the more it tastes chalky and like a protein drink. But the one from Orgain doesn't taste like that at all. It's really good. Also having protein bars on hand. So some of the bars I like the most are the Pro Bar. The cookie dough flavor is my favorite. Think Fit protein bars are good as well. I like the chocolate brownie flavor. Those both have about 20 grams of protein in them and pretty good ingredients as well. The next thing you can do is make some sneaky high protein swaps. So for example, instead of having something like sour cream, have a bit of Greek yogurt instead, much more protein. Or there's a lot of brands that make, for example, If you like tzatziki to dip your pita bread and things in, there are brands that make Greek yogurt-based tzatziki, so it still has that tzatziki taste, but it has Greek yogurt in it, so much more higher protein to fat ratio. So whenever you're looking for dipping sauces, try and see if you can find a Greek yogurt-based one because the taste is pretty similar, but it's going to be a lot more protein than your typical item. The next one you might think sounds a bit nasty or weird, but you barely taste it, is blending cottage cheese into your dishes. Cottage cheese has an insane amount of protein in it. By itself, it's not good, in my personal opinion, but when you blend it into food, you barely taste it. So, for example, if you're making a pasta dish with sauce, when you're making your sauce on the stove, add the spaghetti sauce, marinara sauce, then add cottage cheese into it and mix it together. You will not even taste it. You can add your meat, your pasta noodles, all that stuff, eat it. You're getting an extra 10, 15, 20 grams of protein because of the cottage cheese, but you barely even notice that it's there. You can also mix it into things like scrambled eggs. So something I like to do is when I make my eggs, I'll put eggs in. Maybe I'll add a little bit of that high protein Fairlife milk and maybe a bit of cottage cheese, taking 12 grams of protein from 2 eggs and making it like 20 grams of protein. So there's so many different things you can add cottage cheese to. That's just a couple, but find things that you blend together and that way you can blend in the cottage cheese with it. And then you can also take things like unflavored protein powder and mix them into literally anything: soups, pasta sauce, smoothies. So I like to do this as well if I'm okay with mixing things into it myself. And you want to pick one that's not as chunky so it's easier to blend it in. But if you just take an unflavored protein powder, it's an easy way to add protein to any dish that you already like without tasting the protein itself. The next thing is snacking on edamame. This is such an underrated food. Edamame is one of the most high protein vegetables out there. This is also especially great for my plant-based folks. Edamame has 17 grams of protein per cup, which is insane. So if you're someone who likes chips or salty foods, instead take edamame, you can salt it a little bit and eat it. It still has that same satisfaction of having those salty chips, but you're getting way more protein. It's also a great side item if you're having a meal and you want a vegetable on the side. Add edamame because it adds a vegetable while adding more protein. Another hack that's really great at saving time is pre-cooked frozen proteins. So a lot of people have this misconception that they have to buy fresh food. They don't want to do any frozen foods, frozen vegetables. But honestly, if you don't have a lot of time, frozen is the way to go. Frozen fruits and vegetables and meats are the same pretty much protein composition as something that you get that's not frozen. So frozen chicken, frozen shrimp, things are already pre-cooked. So something I do a lot of times each week is I'll buy this chicken that comes pre-cooked and it's frozen. So when I defrost it, I just have to put it on the stovetop and heat it up basically versus having to cook it from scratch, make sure the temperature is right, make sure it's not too pink. So this is a great time saver if cooking is something that's very time consuming for you. You don't have time for it, but you still want to get in your protein. If you're someone who eats out a lot, this hack is really helpful. Always order double protein and replace that with something you'd order before. So if you're at Chipotle, for example, ask for double chicken, double shrimp, double whatever it is, and then go light on something like your cheese or your rice. So if your bowl's typically like you get the regular serving of rice, the regular serving of cheese, vegetables, the regular serving of chicken, double the chicken, reduce the cheese, or maybe even double the chicken, double the vegetables, and reduce the carbs. This helps you get more protein without you having to get an extra protein bar in later that day. You're eating the same meal that you'd already eat, but just increasing the protein of it. Next hack is if you like sweet treats like me, find sweet brands that make sweet treats that are higher in protein. So for example, Halo Top, Nix are just a couple of my favorites. Enlightened, they all have about 20 or more grams of protein per pint, which is huge. Also, Halo Top specifically is very low calorie. So a whole Halo Top tub is the same amount of calories as a lot of Ben& Jerry's one servings, and the protein is a lot higher. So this is a great way to still enjoy your sweets, your ice cream, your cookies, while still hitting your protein goals. And not all the flavors are good. I'm not going to lie. Some of them taste a bit wonky to me, but I really like the Halo Top salted caramel flavor. Very tasty and a great way to get in your protein with lower sugar and lower calories. You can also add protein powder to baked goods if you like to bake. So if you're making a cake, you're adding flour, just add a little scoop of protein powder as well. You will not taste it. It's barely going to be tasteable. However, it's going to help you get more protein from something that you're already going to eat. And the biggest hack of all is let AI do the heavy lifting. So in our coaching program, our clients have access to our AI meal planner that we engineered called Mia. And they basically tell our AI meal planner, hey, here are the things I like, here are the things I don't like, here are snacks I like, here are sweets I like, how many people I'm feeding, and so much more, the calorie and protein goals, which we calculate for them. And our AI meal planner will make a complete meal plan that fits all their criteria. So if they say that they like ice cream, and maybe their protein goal is 150 grams of protein, it'll find high protein ice cream brands for them to have. If they say they like cookies, it'll add high protein cookies that they can have. For example, there's one I like called Toto. It's, I think, 8 grams of protein per serving. And so with our AI meal planner, you don't have to do all the research and figuring out, okay, how can I finagle hitting my protein goals without eating all this meat, while still eating snacks that I like, whatever it may be, because the tips I gave you might be helpful, but it can be hard to piece it together with creating a full meal plan. So our AI meal planning technology does all that for our clients within 5 minutes. Like I remember one of our clients, she's like me, she's a sweets lover. And so every time she tried to lose weight and hit her protein goals, it was tough because she'd be eating so many sweets. A lot of the high protein foods she didn't like. She wasn't really into protein bars or protein shakes. And so it was really hard for her to hit those protein goals and stay within her calorie deficit. So with our AI technology, she said, hey, here are my protein goals. Here are the things I like. Here are the things I don't like. I love sweets. And our AI meal planner was able to make her a fully personalized meal plan that hit her protein goals, still allowed her to have her sweets, her cookies, her brownies, all that good stuff, while still staying within her calorie range. She's lost 32 pounds working with us, still eats sweets on a regular basis. Her blood pressure and cholesterol have gone down, and she looks lean and toned versus fluffy, as she would call it. She said, in the past, when I lost weight, I would still look fluffy, but with the methods that you helped me with, I feel lean and toned and good in my clothes. Like I'm excited to wear my bikinis because I like the way my body looks, and I'm not just looking at the number on the scale. This is the power of eating enough protein, but doing so with foods that you actually like and leveraging AI meal planning technology to do so, which is something that's included in our coaching program. So here are some common mistakes to avoid when trying to hit your protein goals. The first is trying to hit it all in one meal. Most women's protein goals are 100 grams or higher. If you try to do that in one meal, you're going to feel sick. You're going to feel so stuffed, you won't be able to finish because protein is very satiating. So you want to make sure that you are breaking it up between your meals and your snacks. Second mistake to avoid is only eating clean sources of protein when you know you like other foods. Like I have some clients who've come to me and been like, oh, like I want to just eat clean because I feel like that'll help me get results faster. But they really like sweet, salty foods. I'm like, this is not realistic long term. You can try eating grilled chicken and tuna all you want every single day, but at some point you're going to get tired of it. So let's do an 80-20. 80% of your protein comes from those things like your chicken, your turkey, your tofu, but 20% comes from things like halo type ice cream, comes from high protein cookies, comes from Greek yogurt, other things that you enjoy so you don't feel restricted or deprived. So you want to have that mix because if it's really important to you to eat clean all the time, then great. But if you're just doing it to lose weight, you don't have to eat that way to hit your protein and weight loss goals. You can have that 80-20 balance. The third mistake is not having a plan on your busiest days. So when you're really busy, it might be harder to get in all your meals. Have those tuna packets on hand, your protein bars, your protein drinks, things that you can easily grab without having to cook a full meal or heat up a full meal if it's not convenient for you on that day. The next mistake is trying to figure out everything with food by yourself. If you are a busy professional woman, you have so many things going on, career, family, maybe other obligations. Meal planning on top of that can be very overwhelming, especially trying to factor in your protein goals on top of that. And that's why it's great to get help. So on our team, we have registered dietitians, certified macronutrition coaches, certified wellness coaches, and so much more to ensure that you get the help you need to have a robust, complete nutrition plan without having to meticulously track every calorie and do all the calculations yourself. We do all that for you. We have our AI meal planning technology, so you can just focus on enjoying and eating good food. Remember that hitting your protein goals does not have to feel overwhelming. It does not have to mean eating grilled chicken for every single meal. It can be fun. It can be flexible. It can include sweets when you do it the right way. So thank you so much for tuning into the Fit and Fulfilled show today. Hope you walked away with practical strategies that you can implement to hit your protein goals, get lean, toned, and improve your day-to-day life. If you found this helpful in absolutely any way, I ask that you please subscribe and share it with a friend who you think might find it helpful so they can implement these strategies as well. And if you're a busy professional woman who wants to lose 20 to 50 pounds and maintain it for the rest of your life without cutting out your favorite foods or doing crazy, overwhelming workouts, I would love to help you. I'd love to invite you to apply for our coaching program, the Fit and Fulfilled Academy. In the Academy, we help busy professional women like you by providing the guidance, coaching, and support with nutrition, fitness, and mindset to help you achieve lasting weight loss. All the details are down below. Next week, we're diving into a brand new topic that you're not going to want to miss. But until then, remember you deserve to feel as confident in your body as you do in your career. Take care.